Hi, I'm Anna, Head of Media here at Demand More. I'm here today with Andy, our co-founder, to talk about how we can get the best out of our paid media budget. So, Andy, what would you say brands should do to get the best out of their paid media budget?
So the top tip that we like to give is getting good data into the platform. So just a few top line ideas on that, just making sure that your GA4 setup is good. Even a basic GA4 setup using tags set up on GTM, super easy to do and will help you squeeze a lot more out of your paid media budget. Opting into enhanced conversions, for example, is a good thing to do as well. We're moving into a privacy first era. So what enhanced conversion tracking will do is Google will be sent hashed data, things like the Google account email, where they created the conversion on your website, and that will be hashed and sent through to Google for them to be able to help you retarget, for example. You can add other secondary conversion actions like add to cart revenue as a really easy one, whilst also maybe considering different primary conversion actions like profit. So if you're focusing on products with more profit in them, then you'll squeeze a lot more out of your budget. You'll make it a lot more profitable by definition. Finally, also LTV, so lifetime value. You want to consider the entire lifetime value of customers that come through your paid media, particularly for subscription-based products or lead-based products where people might come back again in future in a year or even multiple years. You want to consider the value that you get from that too in that initial sale. The other thing you can do is focus on your top performing products. So I like to think of the Pareto principle, where basically 80% of your revenue will come from the top 20% of your products in terms of generating revenue. So by focusing on your top performing products, you will be putting more data through your smart bidding in your campaigns and also through your responsive search ads, with a nicely consolidated structure, of course. So you want to make sure that, you're putting as much volume through there because the artificial intelligence will use more data points, more conversions through those top performing products. So that's a good way to kind of get the most out of those and forget about your products that don't make so many sales. I would just say make sure that you've got a well optimized account and you've given all of your products a good enough chance, because there might be some products that you haven't optimized well enough that might have been in your top performing products, and you don't want to just stop spending money on them completely, because they might actually do quite well if you optimize them a bit better with a new landing page or ad copy or whatever.
And what would you say like the main issues that you see in kind of accounts that result in wasted spend?
Most accounts that we look at still don't have enough negative keywords. I kind of really like negative keywords because they're a throwback to like 2015-16, where you needed to use negative keywords to help Google's matching work better. So nowadays, obviously, Google Ads has much better algorithmic matching and better match types, and broad match does pretty well. But you still need to help guide it with some negative keywords sometimes. I always say it's extremely important in two cases, where if it's an industry with high CPCs, perhaps, or industries with compliance needs. And quite often there's a close, that there are lots of industries that have both of those. So I'm thinking legal, perhaps, or finance, or online gambling. All those three have high CPCs and compliance. So you want to be negativing, it might be negativing certain loans that you can't fulfill legally. It might be not targeting people searching for a certain product or service, which Google would eventually work out with time anyway. But you can cut that whole stage out basically by just saying don't target those kind of searches at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think with finance and just like loans, for example, it might be the case that certain businesses, as you say, don't want a specific product served, which as you say, like Google's definitely not going to kind of understand that you actually need to actually have a human element of control on the bid strategies as well, rather than just letting Google do its thing. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, the better the data you feed in to will mean that Google can sort out which searches are good and which aren't, faster with better data. So you can just say, right, this data is excellent, we just feed it through, and Google will work out what should effectively be negative keywords. But you can just, get up to speed a lot quicker by using those.
Yeah, nice. And what about account structure? Do you find that can be a bit of an issue as well?
100%. That's probably the most common thing that we see. Again, I mean, I kind of mentioned negative keywords feeling like a bit of a throwback to 10 years ago, essentially. So it used to be the case, obviously, that you would have a highly granular account structure. I used to get really excited seeing an account with like 1,000 campaigns and 100,000 keywords and 100,000 ad groups as well. But that's just not the way that you do things anymore. Some companies really want to try and do it that way. And sometimes you end up having a bit of an argument telling them that they definitely can't do it that way anymore. But yeah, we see it all the time. You just want to be putting as much volume as possible through your campaigns. So Google still says ideally you should have, I think it's at least 30 conversions per month per campaign, though it does like to say it's getting better at working with fewer conversions per campaign, but it's always more data points is better, even if you expand on those by using secondary conversion actions, things like that.
I think some clients are a little bit reluctant to maybe go down the consolidated approach because they lose that granular level of control in terms of ad copy, landing pages, for example. So what would you kind of recommend in those cases?
So, I mean, that was why we used to have such granulated structures, obviously. So you did have more control, but it's kind of switched around. So now you can use your expertise at Google Ads to find ways around that. So you can use things like dynamic keyword insertion. So quite often back in the day, you'd have one search ad per keyword, and you'd put that keyword into the headline one of the ad, and then people searching for it see the same keyword in the headline, super relevant ad gets clicked on. You can actually still get 90% plus of that same level of tailoring by using dynamic keyword insertion, which brings the keyword straight into that headline.
So you've spoken a lot about consolidation and kind of making sure the account structures are streamlined as possible. Do you have any examples of any accounts that you've kind of worked with in that approach?
Yes, Harvey Jones is one that springs to mind. We had about 400 campaigns, I think, originally. And they were all broken out by different showrooms because they have, I think it's about 25 to 30 showrooms in the UK. And we used to have different campaigns for each one, but brand campaigns, generic campaigns, competitor campaigns, all duplicated for each showroom. So we mentioned earlier about finding workarounds for, having to consolidate all these campaigns but still be able to drive more leads for certain showrooms, which is obviously a significant business need. So what we used to do is essentially use conversion value weighting and weight the conversions in certain areas where showrooms needed leads particularly. That can even be adjusted mid-month. So we would have catch-ups with the team and they'd say we need some more leads in Leeds, for example, maybe, or Harrogate. And they would, they'd say, all right, we need approximately 40% more leads this month. And then you can upweight the conversion values, even though they're technically not more valuable leads. We're saying to Google that they are, and then Google starts bidding more aggressively in those areas. So by using that, we were able to reduce the number of campaigns by 28 times, because at the time there were 28 showrooms. And yeah, I mean, it was a massive success, really. We had 11% more clicks, and we had 25% reduced CPL. So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting kind of hack there, because I know conversion value rules are like quite an interesting kind of element of bid strategies, but not a lot of people actually use them because there's no like use case. But yeah, I quite like that as a strategy. Very interesting. So moving ahead into this year, obviously we're in February now. What do you see as like the biggest opportunity for 2024 in terms of paid media strategy?
I'm going to use a thing that I've noticed the digital marketing industry likes doing a lot, and I'm going to say 2024 is going to be the year of measurement. So you remember 2016, 2015, 2016, one of those was going to be the year of mobile. I think 2015 was meant to be the year of mobile, but then it wasn't. So then 2016 was the year of mobile. And then there was the year of voice search. We were talking about that earlier as well. I can't remember which year that was meant to be because it didn't happen. So hopefully this will be the case this year, even if it's just for the sake of, putting something out there. 2024, the year of measurement, we're seeing more and more and more need for good data to come into campaigns. It's really simple. You get good data in, you make good bidding decisions, you get good outcomes.
You've spoken a lot about measurement and just making sure you're kind of feeding the algorithms the best data possible. Do you have any examples or kind of know of any accounts that have kind of taken that paid media strategy and like what kind of results they got from that?
One of our clients that springs to mind immediately is a luxury homeware furniture retailer. We managed to increase their ROAS by 35% by plugging holes in their data. So they made a lot of their sales on their website directly, easy to track using GTM, GA4, all of that. You just get the revenue coming straight in because people bought these things online. The problem was some people would rather get these bits of furniture on finance because they're quite expensive. So they had an option where you could fill in a form that would go off to their financing partner company. So it was kind of a weird mixture of e-commerce and lead generation. So all of these people would fill in this form, it would go off to their financing partner, and they wouldn't track whether these people actually bought in the end, which is obviously a significant issue if we're not tracking those sales, right? So we managed to effectively get their finance partner to send us reports back with Google Click IDs that we could then put the revenue against those Google Click IDs for people who had bought on finance and upload them to Google Ads and give Google those signals that these are also sales that are being made that weren't being tracked before. And the other hole in their data was actually their call tracking. So they used to have just a phone number on their website. People would quite often call up, maybe have some questions to ask about the different bits of furniture, and they would perhaps buy over the phone. Sometimes they had that option too, and that wasn't being tracked either, not even through Google's basic native dynamic phone call tracking, which quite often isn't quite up to scratch, but you can use third-party tools, third-party software like Infinity, for example. They're really great. They use all sorts of clever tech to work out who came from which click onto the website and made a sale. So we got them set up on call tracking and started tracking all the revenue from phone calls as well. And yeah, as I said, it resulted in a 35% increase to ROAS.
Nice, very impressive results. Great, okay, well thanks for your time, Andy, and hopefully we've got some good tips for everyone to feed into their paid media strategy moving forward.
Thank you very much.